And we're back with actual audio this time. To reintroduce myself instead of just showing my lovely face the entire time, I am Vaudable. I'll be the caster for this amazing finals event that we have. It is the CEA Rocket League Fall 2019 Finals. Capital One for all facing off against Facebook, where they also go by the Professional Tractors. Pretty awesome name at that. We have some quick facts for you before we get into this game, and I'm just going to speed through these and go through the rest of it a little bit later during the broadcast itself. But it's going to be a best-of-7 series between these two teams. The prize pool, $3,500 in total. First place, $2,100 for their specific charity. Second place, $1,050 for their charity. And third place, the Microsoft Ninja Cats actually got that recently, if you check the bracket out on Battlefly. But they got $350 for their charity. So it's going to be great to see which of these teams come out on top. And there's all this money going to charities that all these organizations and corporations are representing. It's going to be a great time with some great Rocket League action. But I think that's enough of me talking and not talking as well, just because of the technical issues we were having a little bit earlier. So let's let the players know that they can hop into the game and get into the action as quickly as possible, because this is going to be a great matchup between both of these teams as they are getting ready to start in game one of the best of 7. This is pretty interesting for those that are Rocket League fans, the fans of the esport itself. Is you might not be familiar, but with the Corporate Esports Association, these teams have more than 3 players that they'll be able to switch out in between the games themselves. So we might take a little bit of a break in between these matches, see how things go, but it is going to be a great time. We have Core, we have JPZY, and Raku versus Mash Esbion. I'm sure you've heard that name before if you are a fan of the esport itself. And Golivar as well on the Facebook team. Facebook versus Capital One. We have Capital One in blue and Facebook in the orange, switching things up a little bit here today. But Esbion was solid touch, a good bump as well from his teammate, but he needed the follow-up to take that one through and get on the board for his team. Unfortunately for them, the net was left wide open, the miss towards the midfield line, and at JPZ, I'm just going to call him that for now until someone updates me on that. But great touch by him right over top of that last defender. And we already see Capital One for all, kind of the powerhouse of this league so far, only dropping 2 games to get to this point. So they have been the strongest we have seen so far. And the Microsoft Ninja Cats, who Facebook took down to get to this point, they were actually the ones who won the finals last season. So both of these teams have a lot of accolades to their name, but this is all going to come down to how things turn out here. And unfortunately for Facebook, they are getting pushed up against the wall. They have a chance to break out. Not the greatest touches, but worked in their favor. Esbion, he'll have a chance of his own, but he needs to move down the pitch, get that boost desperately. Now we'll see what actually the other team knows. He set that one back. Esbion with the read, able to tie things up for Facebook. A great touch by himself. Unfortunate bounce from Core, and that set Esbion right up to tie up this matchup. And we haven't even gotten past the 3-minute mark yet, not even at halfway point of game number 1. And we've seen some pretty great stuff from both teams. Mainly Esbion on Facebook, he has both their shots. And JPZ, he's got 2 shots as well for Capital One. The rest of the team members, they are still looking to get involved as much as possible and get on the board themselves. It's Core, he went for some finesse on the play in the corner there, but not enough to get past the defense. Might be a chance for Raku to do that instead, but not successful in that effort. Does open up space for Facebook to take a clear shot, oh my gosh, from Raku instead. They were able to get control again at the midfield. And that's what we've been seeing so far from this Capital One for all team. They have been looking very strong at that midfield line, stopping a lot of the pressure, but not there. Left themselves wide open. We saw so many attacks coming in, but it was all that double commit that happened on the defensive end. Unfortunately, mistakes like that do happen. You try to have the best intentions when you go for some of these plays, but unfortunately they do not always pan out. And now Facebook in the lead, first time in this game and series, but they still have plenty of time for that scoreline to change, either in their favor or against them. Looks like Facebook are finally starting to warm up here. So they'll be moving forward with some re-induced vigor, as we haven't really seen too much of that in that first minute, but now they are looking strong, and they've been on the blue half of the field much more often. And the blue side, which is Capital One for all, they've been trying desperately to break out in these past 30 seconds. They finally do that. Now we see Core. He takes it past Mash. Can't get it past Espeon. Instead, do have to leave that up. It goes back to the midfield. A great block by Mash to stop that advance in its spot right on the midfield line. Now there's a chance for Facebook to attack. We see Gullivar. He'll send that one off the wall. Good touch by JPZ. But instead, Espeon into the corner. Mash, he's going to give that one up to his teammate. Rotate back around. No boost to work with, so he does not want to overextend, especially because that is what led to the first goal of the game for Capital One for all. Core, he'll take it to the left side. Instead, we'll bounce that up. Kind of a precarious position for that one to be, but luckily he's able to intercept that play before it even happened and stop the advance just for a moment from Facebook. Instead, Mash, he's not going to give them any room to breathe. Espeon, not much boost in the tank to work with. He's going to have to back off, but we've been seeing some great offensive pressure so far by Facebook. It was lacking a little bit in that first minute, but they were able to bring things back after they got those 2 goals. Now they're just playing keep away, and they don't even need to score a goal at this point, but they would want to, because the more the merrier when it comes to these very competitive games, especially Capital One for all. Only dropping 2 games the entire bracket run to get to this point. They have been undefeated so far in the season, but now we might see Facebook push them to the edge, and they're looking to take their first game in this best of 7 right past one of the defenders. Now there's a chance for Capital One to try and take advantage, but again, the defense, they've been able to recuperate on Facebook, put a stop to any of the advancements we've been trying to see out of Capital One, and making plenty of their own on the offensive end. The blue side is just being filled with orange so often in this game. It's been all about possession for Facebook. Such a great touch there by Mash, but again, the defense, they've been able to hold it at just a 1-goal differential so far. Less than 30 seconds remain. This might be a chance for Espeon. Is not able to get the connection there, but it is going to buy some time. If they did reset it to the kickoff, might have led to a kickoff goal as well. Worked in the favor of them, but they got to make sure they don't leave their net that open. Keep it away for at least 5 more seconds. Espeon with the pop-up, Mash with the touch. JPZ, he gets in the way instead, and that will be denied. It's not going to be a final goal for Facebook, but they don't need it. They take game number 1 in this best of 7 series. And what a way to do that as well. We saw some great work being put in so far by both of these teams. We saw a lot out of JPZ. He was able to get all those shots, all those saves as well, and the only goal for this roster of Capital One. Facebook, we saw so much out of all the players, really. We expect to see a lot out of Espeon. You see the RLCS Season 1 Elite title there. He played in the actual professional league, and he is on this team now. He's been at Facebook for quite some time as well, and been having a good time at that from what I've heard. But Mash and Gullivar, they are pulling their weight for sure. They have so many shots. The assist as well from Gullivar was crucial, and we saw a lot out of this Facebook roster in general. We need to see a bit more out of Core and Raku, the turtle, on Capital One. If they're able to bring up their game a little bit more, they'll look pretty solid. But we have to wait and see what happens with this next game. The first one looked very strong for Facebook. Capital One, they started off very well. They were able to shut down Facebook, especially after a mistake on the defensive rotation upwards. But then they weren't able to break out their side. So we'll have to see in this next one if Capital One can maintain some offensive pressure and go for some setups. We haven't really seen enough of that from Capital One. They've been doing their best there, trying to see what they can do once they get out of their side, but we'll see exactly what happens. This is going to be game number 2 now of this best of 7. We'll see exactly how Capital One strikes back. Now down by 1 in the best of 7, currently at 1-0 in favor of Facebook. We'll see exactly what the story says for us in this one. Gullivar, a good touch there to send it all the way to the blue half. But JPZ, he's going to wait for this one. And Mash, Great touch there, but right into Core. Actually, luckily for him as well, it bounces right off the wall. There goes JP. Can't get follow-up though. Great touch by Espeon, but he had to pay by being demoed on that one. That will drop down right in between the net. But again, not enough for Capital One for all. Instead, Mash. He's got to send this one up towards the ceiling. Espeon. Good challenge onto JPZ, but there is Raku. He gets the touch, but Mash is able to be there in time. Gets demoed for his efforts. The ball is reset. Raku can't get back. JPZ's not there either. Espeon just has to take a shot. It goes right under the crossbar, and there's the first one for Facebook. Strong effort and showing from Espeon on this play, but it could have been prevented by the Capital One for All team. We saw some great coordination there, trying to send two players, not at the same time, but timed at the perfect spaces to try and intercept that ball before Espeon was able to put it through. But instead, went right in between both of them, and unfortunately, they had to throw everything they had at the ball. Otherwise, it would have had the same story happen there. So they are down by one. They aren't out yet. They are still looking a lot stronger than they did the latter half of game one, as they were struggling to break out there, and now we've seen a lot more pressure from them. But we need more passing plays. We need more setups, and we haven't been able to see that because of the defense of Facebook. They've been able to stop them before they even happen. They've had some great preventative defense so far from what we've seen. Espeon, he's just pretty good mechanically from what I remember back in the day, but he's definitely been able to keep up with the training, especially thanks to Corporate Esports Association. This league has probably been very nice for him to participate in, as well as all the other players. But oh my goodness, the stop from Gullivar. They tried to get the clear on the backboard. Espeon off the ceiling, gets the touch. Peasy with the stop, but Gullivar with the read right in the way of that clear, as all that JPZ could have done to prevent that from happening, but instead will go 2-0 in the favor of Facebook. Now is where Capital One for All really need to start changing up their game plan. They haven't been able to do much on the defensive end of Facebook. There's a double commit there. Raku has a shot. Unfortunately, no, a crazy save instead, and they aren't able to get it past yet. This defense from Facebook has been amazing so far. JPZ, there's a great touch from him. Oh my God! Okay, so it goes off the crossbar and in. The perfect touch, the perfect bounce he could have ever wanted there. Mash, valiant effort from you, buddy, but unfortunately you were not going to be anywhere near that one, especially going backwards towards your net. But it's been amazing to see how well it's been doing for this Capital One roster, especially with all the pressure they've been putting on. They finally are able to get that goal to pay off, but it's very similar to that first game. So we'll have to see if they can continue with that effort afterwards. Luckily for them, Core was there to back them up on the defensive end, but actually this is going to lead to a potential goal. Espeon can't stop it in time. There was no rotation back as all three members were pushed up from Facebook. Espeon and Gullivar went for that one, and that spelled their doom as it is now tied 2-2. And it seems Capital One for All are looking to come back. 2 unanswered goals from them after we saw the first 2 from Facebook. We'll see what Facebook can do now to put a stop to the advancements we are seeing out of the offense of Capital One for All. Now in the midfield, a great interception for Raku. Core did have to deflect that one, and oh, so close to that crossbar instead. But it's not going to be enough for the game lead to be granted to Capital One for All yet. That was almost granted to Facebook, as they were so close right off the post. Barely anyone back in time on the Capital One team right off the side. We're seeing solid setups using that backboard, using the side walls away from the net. That was going to be an insane angle if that went in for Mash, but unfortunately not going to be enough to make a difference here. Gullivar towards the midfield line. It does get popped up. Now there's Mash. He had the read, but so did his opponents. Espeon, he is just waiting to try and bait out the defense, but Core is saying not today. He is going to hold that line right at the goal line instead. Send it away from their side. Raku, he's taking this one into the air. Does get popped back, but Core, he's not going to push up too far. Unfortunately, no, he's not able to get the touch. Raku, he's able to get back in time, but not enough to prevent disaster from striking into the back of the net. It is Espeon. The miss there is really what did them there. Unfortunately, weren't able to recover from that. And that's been the main difference we've been seeing from both these teams, has just been the amount of mistakes. We've only really seen the 1 or 2 mistakes from Facebook so far. The first one, when they got scored on by Capital One, only had 1 member back. From Capital One, we've been seeing just a few mishaps with some double commits, or maybe just not getting the correct read on the ball when they've been going back for it. And that's because of how close these two teams are. They've been going for some very high-flying shots off the walls and crazy angles, especially for Facebook. And this has been pushing Capital One for all to the limit. So they've been breaking under all the pressure a little bit, and that's what you see from these teams once they get to these finals. Especially Capital One. Oh no, they're not able to get the save if you're Facebook, but if you're Capital One for all, you're pretty counting your lucky stars at this point, because Espeon sent that one right into the path of destruction for JPZ. And unfortunately, that save was not going to be enough. Instead, it just bounced it into the net. Now we're tied again, 3-3. Really showing how close these two teams are. Only a 1-goal difference in the first game. We have seen so much more potential out of this Capital One for all roster in game number 2. 7 seconds left on the clock for these two teams. We'll see exactly what they can do to come back. Oh, and now we get into overtime. And this is where things get reset. We go for the kickoff. This could make the difference. Goes in the favor of Facebook. JPZ, he's not going to let them get off as easily as they would like. Instead, he's actually going to get bumped around by Mash. That was actually the perfect disruption from him. He's able to take it away from their side, stop the pressure that was being applied on their own defensive end, and instead pop it up into the air, send it down. Goes Espeon right over to Raku. There'll be some great work being put in there. JPZ going to pop this into the air. Instead, Espeon, he gets a good clear. Going to go for a follow-up. Can't get the read, unfortunately, because the bounce is very tricky. Get the touch he needed. Oh, no, Mash! He's able to get great touch on the ball there. Too fast to be stopped. 137 kilometers per hour if you are anywhere outside of the U.S. Because that is an insane speed for that ball. It looked like it pinched off someone as well. And that will be game 2 going in the favor of Facebook. Some incredible work being put in by Espeon. 7 shots, 2 goals, 2 assists, and 2 saves. While JPZ, he has just been doing his best so far in this entire series. 4 shots this one. I think he had like 5 in the other game as well. 2 goals too. Raku, he's been doing well on the defensive end, trying to set up his teammates, going for those assist plays, and doing whatever he can really to get back into these games. But we need to see more out of Core as well. He's been having the saves. He had a goal, but we need all 3 of these members of Capital One for All to do their absolute best, get pushed to the limit, because they are facing their limits now, and they need to go past it if they want any chances of taking the victory here. Otherwise, they're going to just have to settle for second place, which is great. There is an awesome prize pool just for those who might be tuning in. We do have $3,500 total being given to these charities for just the prize pool alone. $2,100 for first place, $1,050 for second, and $350 for the Microsoft Ninja Cats, as they did win that third place matchup. But we do have to get into game number 3 of this best of 7. JPZ, Core, and Raku facing off against Espeon, Golivar, and Mash. Going to be another great one, and we'll see exactly who comes out on top. Gonna start with another kickoff. Another 5 minutes on the clock. Potentially only 2 games remaining in this series, depending on how things go. Core is going to leave this one up. Going to give it up to Espeon. Actually, he's just bumping around with Core in the other side. Golivar, he's going to take the initiative on offense. Couldn't really get the setup he wanted, so he's got to back off. Set this up for Mash instead to push through. He's got plenty of boost to work with, and instead we'll leave this for Raku. We'll see exactly what they can do to get this game going in their favor. But there's been some great work being put on by both teams. So we are only 30 minutes into this matchup so far. So far, we've been seeing a lot of great pressure being applied by Espeon on offense. Gullivar, we saw a lot of him at the beginning. There's a great touch from Espeon. Unfortunately, it will be saved by Core. So Raku sends that back down. Almost a touch there, and instead it will be knocked aside. An amazing goal being scored there. Excuse me as I had to step away for some water. Not want to cough into the microphone as much as possible, but Facebook yet again taking the initiative on offense, putting all the pressure on that they can, and making sure that there are no chances for Capital One for All to break out of their own side. Instead, we've been seeing so much pressure being applied by this Facebook roster, but now it is the chance for Capital One for All to try and come back into this game. They pop it into the air for JPZ. He's been their #1 striker so far, at least from what we've seen today. Raku baited out 2 of the defenders, but unfortunately that bounce off the ceiling is not going to do Capital One for All any favors. Instead, Espeon with a touch, but a great save from Raku. Instead, be sent back to him as well. Fortunately, the orange side could not keep it in the blue half for as long as they would want. Espeon not able to get that past Core. Now we'll see if Core can get past Gullivar. Not able to do that either for Raku. He's been the defensive mastermind of this roster so far. We've been seeing some great work and great strides being put in by him to make sure that his team can do whatever they need necessary to get this game-tying goal. We just past the halfway point. And still, these games have been so competitive between both these teams. Almost approaching the 2-minute mark of game number 3. First 2 going in the favor of Facebook. And now we see another goal by JPZ. He is always the one that you can count on for this Capital One team. Gullivar not able to do much there. This is an entire team effort from Capital One for All, and this is what we have been missing so far in this series. We see all 3 players getting involved, hitting it off the wall, stopping any of the clears from happening by Facebook, and they are able to capitalize on those opportunities and tie up the game. We saw a few opportunities like that in game number 2, but unfortunately they are only able to take it to overtime and not get the victory at the end of the day. So now they need the advantage here and a cushion. There's a great touch from Core, but again, the defense too strong. If they could go for some demos maybe and make sure that they just take out any of the players on that defensive line, they'll be looking pretty solid going ahead. But again, this offense from Facebook, they are unrelenting. As soon as they get a piece of the ball, they are going to run with it and try and get anything they can from it. Maybe a few shots, and eventually it will lead to a goal from what we have seen. But it is approaching only a minute remaining in game 3 of this best of 7. Pop into the corner. There's a great touch over to Mash though, so they have to worry about clearing this from their own end. Capital One for All. Espeon not the greatest touch off the wall there. Instead, we'll have to retreat on the play, make sure they don't push up too far. That is the one downside of this super aggro playstyle we are seeing from Facebook, is as soon as all 3 of them push up, if Capital One get an opportunity to break out of their side, they can go on the counterattack and get the goal they need for the lead. And we saw it happen a few times in game number 2. Instead, though, Mash, he is always there when you need him to. He is very reliable on offense. He's able to receive that ball at the midfield line. Fortunately, his teammate could not get the touch, but does not matter because that baited out 2 of the defenders on to Capital One. And instead, we'll give that up for a goal for Mash and for Facebook. They're able to get the lead yet again. If they win this game, they will only need one more to complete the sweep and get the victory, and MASH might have just solidified them only needing that one final game. Gullivar, though, a great touch off the ceiling, but unfortunately the clear was not enough from JPZ on the side of Capital One for All. Instead, 28 seconds remaining. This might be all she wrote in this game, unless we see a quick kickoff goal from Capital One. There is potential. It is in the air. There goes Corey. Drops it down. Okay, there is potential for Capital One for All to come back in this game and series. MASH, unfortunately, that's not the touch he really wanted. He wanted to go forward, but instead it went backwards and over top of the defender, and that was a perfect read instead by Core, and he was able to put that one straight through. Some great coordination there, but they need one more to tie things up. Core, he gets that off the side. There is a potential setup right under MASH, but that actually worked out in their favor. MASH, he did not want that to get bumped into the net instead, and we will see if these 5 seconds are enough for Capital One for All to come back. Seems that will be it. Facebook taking game number 3 of the best of 7. Some great work being put in by both these rosters. So far, we've been seeing some great coordination by both teams. It's been so close, even though it's been a sweep so far. So we've been seeing some great work being put in by Facebook, where Espeon, MASH, and Gullivar, they've been able to do anything they have needed when it comes to offense. When it is Capital One, they've been trying their best to just counter that as much as possible. But Core, JPZ, and Raku, they have just needed to get things started as quickly as possible. So we'll see exactly what we can do this next one. We might have a server change depending on how this goes, because they are looking to potentially get that change for these next games. Because I think only the first 3 we have on the west side here. Could be mistaken about that, but they are asking to see what we could do for that server. So we'll have more information about that. Or we might just go into the next matchup. We'll see exactly what happens there. But it's been some... Oh, and the server goes down for maintenance. So we're going to just talk a little bit about the event while we wait for that next one to be set up. We'll see if it's on west or east as well. But it's been some great work being put in by both these teams. As we always see, you know, something happen like that every so often when you're doing these kind of productions. But let's go over the event again itself. So it's the CEA Rocket League Fall 2019 Finals. $3,500 total prize pool for Rocket League specifically. I think there's like 17,000 being given away throughout all the different tournaments to charity, which has been amazing. We've had 154 corporate teams battle for fun and charity across 4 different esports titles. So it's been a lot of fun throughout the fall season here in 2019. But, I mean, I want to see what the people watching right now think who's going to win. Do you think Facebook's just going to get a quick 4-0 and it's just going to be all said and done? Or do you think Capital One for All are going to be able to take it back under control and get back into the series? Because currently, things continue this way. It might go in the favor of Facebook as they are doing their best, but it's only been 1-goal games each time. Well, except that last one, it was 2 goals, but it was kind of like at the end of the game itself. So we'll see exactly what happens here, how these teams do, exactly who's going to come out on top as well, because we need to see a little bit more out of both of these rosters. When it comes to Facebook, they have been taken so close to being defeated in each one of those games. So if you're Facebook, you want to dominate the competition. You want to make sure that you get those 2 goals early and hold on to them, because the only time they were really able to do that was at the end of this as well. So we'll see exactly what they can do in this 4th and potentially final game, as it's pretty crazy to think that Facebook, they might be able to get a 4-0 against Capital One for All, who only lost 2 games in total, at least in the bracket play itself, and were undefeated up to this point. So we'll see exactly what can happen if it is going to be Facebook taking the 4-0 sweep victory, or if it is going to be Capital One for All coming back, getting a reverse sweep, because that is what they need at this point. 4 games in a row, actually, to get the victory here at these fall finals. We'll see as we see some great pressure being applied already by Facebook. A double commit on the defensive end. Not going to bite them yet as it actually works in their favor. JPZ, he's going to send this one forward, and that's a great connection. There we go. That is what has been lacking from this roster. Raku sends it forward. JPZ, he's actually with a great cut, making sure that there's no chance for them to come off the wall and get the save there. We've seen that happen so many times in the series. That's the adaptability that differentiates the winners and losers of these kind of series. We've seen that happen in the RLCS, in the Rivals series, any other tournament. It comes from experience playing against these kind of teams and being able to change your place to hope. That was so close to being an own goal from Core. You have to be able to have that adaptability, especially if you're playing against a team that you haven't faced in a while or scrimmed in a bit. They might have a different play style, or maybe they're just playing a little bit better that day. So we're starting to see that out of Capital One. They are able to get the lead early in this one. But we saw it happen in Game 1. They weren't able to hold on to it. That would have been perfect if they could have gotten the connection. But there were two players headed straight for them. It was a lot more difficult to come back and make sure they score that one. Approaching a halfway point fairly soon in this matchup. This Core, he's actually going to have to leave that one up for his teammates to try and get the save here. A good drop down for Facebook. Trying to take a page out of the book of Capital One for all when they are going for their play right in front of the box. Making sure that they don't push in too far and get challenged by the defense. Raku, he has to wait for this one to be passed back. No boost in the tank, but still want to keep up the pressure instead. Definitely a wiser decision to back off as he did. Now with some more boost. Unfortunately, that ball was a little bit too fast for him to get the wanted. So that's to lead that one up to Core. Did have an open net opportunity, but not the angle he wanted from the oncoming ball. Instead, goes off the side. Now we might see Espeon put some pressure on. Raku, he's going to send that towards the backboard. Goes right back to the midfield. Nobody home. So they have to quickly return to base. Make sure that there is no more pressure being applied by Facebook on their own end. They might get stuck here. Espeon, he does get the block. It is in the corner. Who's able to get there in time, and instead Mash. He's going to take his time. Does bounce that off the side. Tried to set up his teammates, but they aren't going to bite yet. They know they have 3 games that they can play with before they have to really worry about this series. And they might just be trying to tire out Capital One for all, make them spend all their energy in this 4th game. And if they win this one, there's still a few more that Capital One would need to win in order to take the victory here. There's a good demo there by Espeon onto JPZ, but Core is able to delay it just enough for the respawn to come in. Goes off the backboard, no follow-up. There goes Core, bounces off the ceiling into the midfield. Raku over to Mash. He'll be able to take his time on the save there. A great body block by Mash, getting his entire front wheels and the undercarriage of his car to make sure that he can take care of that block. JPZ, though, dangerous touch there for the defense of Facebook. Core, not what he wanted power-wise from that touch. Instead, they're going to have to go for another pass. JPZ, not able to intercept Espeon. He'll move forward, right past Core into the air. Off the backboard instead, Espeon again with a bump up. Good, actual, that was a perfect bump onto Core. I think that was Espeon as well, as he was able to take him out of the equation altogether. But that's not enough. Core is able to rotate back around after recovering. Make sure he gets that boost. Hits it off the side, right past him, and that's the perfect angle he could have asked for. They've been going for that the entire series, and they are able to capitalize on that. Capital One for all, looking strong as they are moving forward for the victory in game number 4 and their potential reverse sweep here. 53 seconds on the clock. A drop down by Espeon, not able to sneak under the crossbar, and instead there is a pop-up for another pass. Espeon, he's going for the follow-up. Mash is there instead, and there is a chance for this Facebook team to close things out in 4 games. Only 43 seconds to tie things up, and then also get a goal unless it goes to overtime. So Facebook versus Capital One for all. This is do or die for Capital One for all. as they are going to be facing second place finish if they do not take the victory here. 36 seconds and counting into the corner. Espeon bumped up into the heavens as Mash, with no boost in the tank, gets it past one. Right over to Espeon into the corner. Core does take that boost. Espeon trying to block and delay as much as possible, but did get a little bit of help from his teammate. Try and keep it there, but not the effort they needed. JPZ, he's taking his time. Espeon with a perfect read off the side. We'll give this up to Raku. There's a perfect touch from him, and that might be for game 4. Espeon sent that right to Core. Great read from him. Stops the clear in its tracks. Now they are able to move forward even more. 9 seconds on the clock, and we'll see what happens between these two rosters as they have been going neck and neck throughout this series. Gullivar, he'll send that one down. See what happens with it dropping off that backboard there. And onto the ground, some great work being put in by both these teams. But it might not be enough for Capital One if they can only get that victory. They did get a 2-goal advantage over top of Facebook, which was crucial for them. But we still need to see a little bit more pressure from them. We are on the East Coast servers now, I believe, so it is working in the favor of Capital One. We have to change the servers up to make sure that it's more balanced as well, just to give them an equal playing field as that. So the server change might have been the difference for Capital One, just because the ping differential and everything that is involved in that. You can see Core, he has 8 ping right now, so he's doing pretty strong for his team. As a JPZ, he was doing quite well in the previous game, so now we're seeing a lot more out of Core and Raku. And that's been working out so well for both of these teams. So now we'll have to see exactly what they can do going into game number 5 of this best of 7. Can Capital One come back? It's possible. They've got 1 game under their belt, only need 3 more. But 3 more is almost an entire series at that when it comes to a best of 5. So it's going to be their work cut out for them throughout this remainder of the series. Still only 1 game away from falling to second place instead of having a potential for first if Facebook get the win in this next one. So Facebook, if you are listening, try and close this one out as quickly as you can. Get the advantage early, because whatever team has been able to do that, except that first game, seems like they've been able to get the victory so far. So now Capital One, they're looking to prevent that, get the advantage like they did in that last game. Make the second verse the same as the first, as they got their first game win in that last one. Raku, right off the side, sent right past JPZ. He's got to back off and leave this for Core. The midfield, Espeon. Over to Mash, popped up, and sent away by Raku. Gullivar into the side. But JPZ into the corner instead. Espeon, not the greatest of bounces, does go up into the air and far enough away delay Core's approach. Now they are on the attack. Gullivar is going to go for that one. Misses the touch and the player. That'll give JPZ a chance to clear it away, but still the boost collection working out for Facebook. Not the greatest of attempts there for the touch. They are able to recover. Luckily enough for them, Espeon off the sidewall. Raku with a great read. Core and JPZ, they have to be careful about being that close, especially once they face some pressure from Facebook on the offensive end. A great touch by Core that goes off the backboard. No follow-up. Oh, there's a great follow-up and a great save as well, but that's not going to be enough for the defense. There was a double commit in progress, and Core is going to capitalize. JPZ, he saw that coming, and Mash kind of bumped out his teammate from the defensive line. And now we're seeing a lot more mistakes flood in from the defensive end of Facebook. If you're Facebook, you got to clean that up. We saw it happen from Capital One. They were able to clean up their play style, adapt to the speed of Facebook. Now it's a different story than the first few games we saw, but it is also a different server. So that could be the difference maker between these two teams, just because of how even they are. We do have to make sure there is an even playing field between these 2 teams. We did have it on West for the first few. Now we have it on East. And that might be all Capital One needed. Sometimes it is also great for these teams because they are able to feel confident in the servers that they have. It's just because there's some sort of like meta for all that. But Gullivar sends that right towards the post. Tries to get a pass again, but Court is having none of it. Mash into the side instead. Espeon with a great follow-up. JPZ not making it look as easy as it was once before. Core tried to fake out the defense, but not getting the connection. Instead, into the corner, up the wall, down for Espeon, and away for Raku. So he actually pops it up for Gullivar. Does bait him out. It does give more time for the Capital One for All defense to gather some boost packets. Push down the field. Espeon off the sidewall with the follow-up, but not the boost he needs for the completion there. Gullivar with the miss. This is going to open up some space for Capital One for All. Drop down right for Core. There's a double commit, though. There's the chance for a mash. He's going to take it. That's going to be a tie game. And it's devastating for this roster of Capital One for All. They were putting all the pressure on that they could. And unfortunately for them, it was not going to be enough. Sometimes you do have to make those sacrifices, go all in on offense. But fortunately, there's just a few too many mistakes there. We saw a great counterattack occur in the favor of Facebook. Now, they are starting to get things under control in a coordinated attack there. I feel like Gullivar was just trying to go for that himself and instead took Bash and ran with him as well. Bumped him into the ball. Technically got a pull shot with his teammate, but a great effort at that. And that might be all they need for the victory here. 2 minutes and 3 seconds on the clock for Capital One for All to come back, tie up the game, take the victory back that they need here. Espeon, not the connection, but will get in the way of the members of Capital One for All instead. Core, not going to get the touch either. Leaves that up for Raku. Off the back wall. Espeon with the miss. There goes JPZ. He misses as well. Raku hits it off the side. Instead, they'll have to back up on the play. A great demo by Mash. Makes up for the mistakes we've been seeing on the defensive end so far. Espeon sends that to the side. Raku is going to have to back up on this play a little bit. Maybe going for some boost. That is so unfortunate. It spawned right after he left the midfield line. I've had that happen way too many times myself. But it does drop down for Core. Sent right into Mash with a simple touch. Espeon. Seems nobody's home, but Raku is able to get back in time. And Core, he'll take his own effort into his own hands. Off the side wall for JPZ. He gets a great follow-up, but unfortunately into the defensive wall of this defense that we've seen so far of Facebook. They were not going to let him get over that barricade of 2 cars on the pileup. Raku, though, a great touch from him. He's able to get the fake. He baited out the defense. Core with a great cut past 2. And Raku with another one himself. Didn't even need a fake. He just got a great touch. Unfortunately, the defense was not in a position to save that one. Did not expect that to happen for them. But we are now tied yet again 2-2. So we are 3-1 in the series in favor of Facebook. But Mash sends it over to the side. Gullivar, excuse me. He's going to get that one instead. Espeon can't get it away far enough to avoid the demo. JPZ over top of one. No boost in the tank. They do not want to send too many members of their squad up for this one. It's Raku. He's going to wait for it to drop down. Leave it up for Core. A great touch by Mash on that back wall. They've been so consistent in getting those clears away so that there can't be any setups for Capital One for All. We might see overtime. It is going to hit the ground. That was going in. Oh my goodness. No, if you are Facebook, you are going to be kicking yourself after that one. But this might be enough. There was a double commit on the defensive end. It does get cleared away. Is a chance if Espeon can take this past all 3 members, but that is a tall order at that. A double commit as well. Works for Espeon. He takes it forward instead. Gullivar, he can't get back, and no, it is going to be Core doing the damage necessary to break down the defense did get popped up. Core right past that last defender. Facebook pushed up a little too far, and now their days may be numbered. We've seen such great work being put in by this Capital One for All team. They've been able to bring things back under control in this series. We've been seeing a lot of Core. We've been seeing a lot of Raku. And we saw so much out of JPZ in the first few games, but we didn't really need that so much. So we've been seeing some great stuff by Facebook as Mash, Espion, and Gullivar. They've been trying to come back and see what they can do in this series, as we've been seeing some great coordination from both of these rosters as they've been trying to do their best to get the victory here and see exactly how they can come out on top. As Capital One for All, they are looking to bring this series back, but we'll see what Facebook can do to just take home the victory. They only need one, as they are so close to the victory. They can almost taste it, but they are getting further and further and further and further away from it as these games go. Capital One for All, as we were able to get those servers changed, they are looking very strong themselves. So we'll see exactly how this goes in game number 6, as this will be a great matchup at that. Espion, good luck, as we are seeing the resurgence of Capital One for All, Core, Raku, and JPZ, the entire team getting involved here, as we'll see what happens in this next game. Could be the last one, or could go to a Game 7 situation, as this is going to be another great one. Does go off that back wall. No, that is going to almost be enough for the Capital One for All team to get the advantage in this game. Instead, JPZ, he's going to wait, drop it to the other side. Does bounce down instead. Raku, great touch there towards that back wall. Drops down, but a good touch by the defense into the corner. Good touch as well from Facebook. They prevent disaster from striking yet again, but no, I spoke too soon. The caster's curse has finally come to life. Fortunate enough for Facebook, as Mash hits that straight into Core. A perfect pop-up from him, and JPZ makes it look easy as per usual. I am gonna just keep saying that because he's been doing that so often in this series, even though these plays are very difficult to pull off if you aren't that experienced in Rocket League. Because I know I definitely could not. I have tried, trust me, but I'm not as good as these. Gullivar gives it up to Espion. He'll take it off the ceiling, see if that'll be a better approach, and less defended instead. Goes into the midfield line, does drop down for JPZ. Does get demoed though, but there's Core. He follows forward. A great carry by Espion away from that goal line. Gives enough time, and that's an insane mid-air bump as well. Here comes Espion with the follow-up. Goes past Raku. Great touch off the backboard again, but not in the greatest spot for a finish there on the follow-through. Espion again, trying to do everything he can, pulling out all the stops on offense to make sure he can push his teammates forward. But it might not be enough. Mash drops it down for Gullivar. Now over to Espion, into the corner. Core, he'll get a great clear towards the midfield line, right past Gullivar. JPZ, intercepted by the defense. Raku, dropped down as well. Espion misses the ball there, has to give it up to his teammates. That might open up some space. There's JPZ. They are able to capitalize on the mistakes of Facebook. And this is the cleanest we have seen out of Capital One for All. They are so coordinated, on lock, working as a cohesive unit, and exactly what we expect to see from this roster, especially since they have been undefeated so far on the season, only dropped 2 games in the bracket play. Now they are looking to take this to Game 7. I was about to say the victory, but they still have 2 more games they need to win. One being this one that we are currently watching. But Core, he's going to send it through the midfield line, right past one. No boost to work with, but trying to get rid of the defenders one at a time. So we are approaching the halfway point of this game. 2 minutes and 30 seconds is all that remains between Capital One for All, Facebook, and a Game 7 situation going down to the wire. That is a perfect interception from JPZ. Great touch from him. Espeon unfortunately botched the follow through. Would have been perfect because they could have gotten the counterattack they needed. They saw that Capital One for All was pushed up on offense, but instead it will be a hat trick out of JPZ. And we saw Core and Raku in the past 2 games step up to the plate. Now JPZ proving that the first few games when he was putting all that pressure in and all that effort was going to pay off eventually, and is doing just that in this game. 3-0, the biggest deficit we have seen so far today, at least on the Rocket League side of things. As Mash sends that one to the corner, does get stopped by Core. Gullivar into the midfield line, right past one, but not another, as they have plenty of time to get back on defense. Core over to Espeon, off the side wall, goes for the follow-up, and there is the finish you expect to see from a seasoned professional, as he is able to get the read he needs with the follow-up as well. And I think it was only 1 boost to spare as well. So some great work being put on by Espeon. And we saw in the first few games, Gullivar and Mash, they were able to put in some great effort on offense themselves. But been a little bit more silent in these last 2 games. And that was the same issue for Raku and Core in the first few games for Capital One for All. It's just basically switched in this series. So now, if you're Facebook, you need all 3 members to be involved in the play, working together and coordinating as much as possible to close out the series. It is possible to do that in this game. They are down by 2. There is a little over a minute remaining. They need a goal now, and the ball going towards their side is not going to do them any favors whatsoever. Espeon down and underneath. Does not get the boost, does get the demo, and that is not going to be enough for him. Mash, though, he gets a great touch. With all 3 members, Capital One for All, ready and waiting. They tried to go for an air bump of their own yet again onto Core. But unfortunately for Facebook, that is not going to be enough, at least today. Raku. Actually, that one gets bounced all the way towards the net. Core is luckily back in position, so there is no way for Facebook to capitalize on this one. But with 30 seconds remaining, they still need 2 more goals to come out with the, or 3 more goals to come out with the victory here, looking less and less likely by the second. 16 seconds now. As it drops down, there's a great touch, but no, it actually gets sent away by Gullivar. Might not have been enough, but that is going to be the final nail in the coffin. They aren't able to secure that gold that they needed at this point. Will drop down. Capital One brings it all the way to Game 7. What a way to do it as well. Some insane work being put in by Capital One. But Facebook, they are not done yet. They've been doing their best effort so far, but they need to do more than that if they want the victory here. It could be Capital One for All taking the finals in a reverse sweep after almost getting swept by Facebook themselves. 3 games in a row for Facebook, now 3 games in a row for Capital One for All. All going to come down to this game. I am so excited to see who comes out on top. If it's going to be Capital One for All, or if it's going to be Facebook. It has been an amazing time to see how these 2 teams have just been facing left and right, back and forth so many times. But this is going to be game number 7 between these 2 teams, and man, I can't predict this one. If things continue to go in the way of Capital One for All, then it is going to be a 4-game reverse sweep in their favor. But we'll see exactly how that goes, as it's been some great work being put in by these teams. So JPZ, Core, and Raku facing off against Espeon, Gullivar, and Mash, as they are moving forward for the victory. Game 7 situation here at the amazing event being put on by CEA. It is the CEA Rocket League Fall 2019 Finals. $3,500 prize pool, $2,100 for first, and $1,050 for second to their respective charities. It's a great time all around for both the teams, the players, corporations, and even the charities themselves and everyone that's going to be benefiting from this amazing matchup. But there goes JPZ into the side as he will move down the field in mid. Instead, that'll actually be a great touch by Cora. No, unfortunately for Facebook, a fatal error on the defensive side. Two actually there. Gullivar tried desperately to stop the advance. Mash that was not going to go in, but he had to try it because it was going to be a follow-up if he missed it there. But instead, it drops down into his own net, and that is going to be catastrophic for Facebook. JPZ, he's going for a reset of his own, but that won't be enough. There's a great touch by Espeon, going to be denied by Raku. Great touch by Gullivar. Instead, they still aren't able to keep that in the blue side of the field. They've been struggling so far in the past 3 games to keep it on the Capital One for All side. And they were doing so well about that in the first few games of this series. But now, it is the time for Capital One for All to rise as JPZ hits that towards the back wall. Well, great demo on to Core as Gullivar. He'll send that one away instead. JPZ has to leave this one up in the air for his teammates to send it back and regain possession and control of the play. Raku, not a touch in sight. It was ripped away by the offense of Facebook. Gullivar will leave this one up to the defense. Wait for his chance to get some boost away from those members of Capital One for All. And that was a slow roller, 2 in fact, and instead they're barely able to block that with 2 members. Capital One for All. That was lucky for them as they are approaching the halfway point of Game 7. We'll see if Gullivar can bring this one back. Not able to regain control of the ball. Instead has to leave that one up to Mash. JPZ takes it for Raku, sends it to the side. Gullivar misses completely, but Mash and Espeon go for the ball. A double commit in progress. Does go off that backboard. Instead, will slow down just a second. Into the corner as JPZ tries to just play keep away at this point for as long as possible. Buys some time for Core to get that boost. Already had to spend a little bit of it to get it away past Gullivar there. Instead, a great drop down from Mash. You saw every member on the pitch go up for that one almost. Gullivar off the side. Raku and JPZ almost got the save, but Mash, what an insane block there. He is able to put himself in between the ball and the clear that was about to happen, and instead we do see a tie game. Mash right into the ceiling over to Core. He'll send this one down, and it will go into the corner again. Espeon, we'll see exactly what he can do. Right into the corner there. Does drop down. A great setup, but it was right into the clutches of Core. It's Raku. He goes for a follow-up himself. Gets the boost instead. JPZ trying to eliminate the pressure that the offense is going to be facing soon, especially after this counterattack potential almost happened. Raku, a good center, but instead he found Mash, and not one of his teammates who could have been in the perfect position to try and close things out. Does drop down in the midfield, right past the box. Core does get a good block on this one, but loses a lot of momentum on this play, and instead a miss. But luckily Mash with the backup plan does get the clear. Now Espeon right over top of one towards the net, does get saved by Core, barely able to get in the way of that one. And JPZ, he's going to take this one away for Raku. Another long lob of a clear to the Facebook end. 1 minute and 20 seconds remain in Game 7. This amazing event. Mash right over top of the defense, and Gullivar, there's a great touch, and it actually gets deflected off of the defense into the net. A perfect setup by Facebook. This might be the comeback they needed. Gullivar right over to the defense. Unfortunately, they could not get that one away. Does knock it into the net, but would have gone in if they missed the touch instead. Now is all in the favor of Facebook, but Raku, he's not going to go down without a fight. Capital One for All, they have been looking so strong these past few games. They do not want to stop now. Just a minute remains for the victor to be decided between these two teams, as it is neck and neck. So much in the favor of this team of Capital One for All in the past few games, and really goes to show how close these two teams really are. Facebook They were doing so well when they were on the West servers. Capital One for All, they were doing so well when they were on the East servers. So really, if this was a LAN setting, you could just flip a dime and would not know who's going to come out on top. And that's basically what we are seeing here today. Espeon, he's going to send the defense away as much as he can, bumping them out of the way. Gullivar, great setup there, and oh my goodness, not enough for the defense to have that go on through. The offense not strong enough, the defense definitely strong enough there. As we see 14 seconds remain, Espeon taking command, making sure there's no chance for a comeback. 3-1, that will be all she wrote. 8 seconds is a possibility for Capital One for All, but it might not be enough time, especially after what we have seen so far. Is going to go to a kickoff, down to the wire. They need a goal now if Capital One for All want to come back. Raku is going to send one off to the corner. Goes right past Mash. There is potential. Goes into the favor of Core. And there's a goal. 1 second remain. They need a kickoff goal if they want to tie this game up and go to overtime in Game 7. It is a possibility. But if you are Facebook, you are just going to wanting to cheat up as quickly as possible and ground that ball. Make sure it does not pop up so that you can get the victory here. We'll see what happens. It does hit the ground, exactly what Facebook wanted. They enact the plan, and they did exactly what they needed to get the victory there in Game 7. What an insane series from all sides of the pitch. Facebook, Capital One, kudos to both of these teams. It could have gone either way in this series, but an amazing effort put in by Mash, Espeon, and Gullivar in that last game, whereas it was mainly Espeon putting in the work in those last few games that Capital One won to get all the way to that final matchup in Game 7. But now Facebook, they got the victory. They get all the reward, which is the $2,100 going to their specific charity. Let me look through my info a little bit to see who their donation will be going to. So that will actually be going to Doctors Without Borders, which will be a great cause that they'll be supporting there. And Capital One, their winnings will be going to Rosie's Theater Kids. So some great causes that are being supported by these corporate players, and it's just an amazing event to see. This has been the CEA Rocket League Fall 2019 Finals, and for those of you who want to get involved, definitely check out the Discord and the Twitter. You could see those all on the overlay a little bit earlier if you just go back on the VOD at some point. I have been Vodable. It's been great to be a part of this broadcast as well, and definitely check out and see if you want to form a team with your corporation. I definitely recommend it. They run these leagues all the time and always for a great cause, and it's something you can do, just like how people have softball or even Ultimate Frisbee or any other corporate sport. You could do that with Rocket League or League of Legends or StarCraft. So always so much potential you can have with these kind of games. But thanks for joining me for this broadcast. I appreciate them having me on for this as well. And hopefully you all have a great weekend. So thanks for tuning in. This has been the CEA Amazing Rocket League Fall 2019 Finals. Amazing isn't in the title, but I just put it there. Capital One for All versus Facebook. Facebook taking the victory with the professional tractors 4-3, preventing that reverse sweep and getting the $2,100 for their respective charity. So thank you for tuning in. We'll catch you next time. This has been the finals. We'll see you later.